Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately named IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. As part of our efforts to promote play, we're happy to introduce our Porch Play Chats. And these are conversations that focus on a wide range of topics from experts that are just as passionate about play as we are. You can find the latest Porch Play Chats and learn more about IPA USA by visiting our website at ipausa.org. And if you click on that top right hand corner, you can access our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels. One Porch Play Chat is released every Monday on the YouTube and Facebook pages. And so we're hoping that you'll be happy to go back and look at all the ones that we did in 2020 and then to look at our playlist for 2021. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch is Lisa Murphy. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, hello, hello.
Lisa's a board member and, of course, an expert on play. And joining us today is Wendy Cole.
Hi.
Wen-
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. We're
Hi.
so glad to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Such a treat.
So, Wendy's the executive director of Maple Street School, which is a cooperative preschool in Brooklyn. And she's a member of a planning committee, and I love the title of this, Little Chairs, Big Differences. Amazing, which is a collective that's committed to creating and cultivating a sense of belonging, exploring race and conscious classrooms and communities, and listening to and understanding the voice as caregivers and other marginalized groups so that we can foster a more inclusive environment. And their website is bcecp.org.
That's a different place. That's the coalition, the Brooklyn Coalition of Early Childhood Programs. Little Chairs
Okay.
Big Differences is littlechairsbigdifferences.org.
Oh, there
So
you go. Thanks so much
that's
for that
those are
clarification.
my most awesome beloved programs that I get
Oh
to.
my goodness. I can't wait to explore that one. Little chairs and big differences, as well as the co-op of people. So Wendy's going to talk to us today about play and beloved community. And so Wendy, the question is, how can play build a sense of community in a program?
So so play and community are everything to me. It's so important, and when you get the whole community connected and involved, something happens around play and it expands to everyone, from children to adults to the land to culture to celebrations. And so my work is around getting our whole community in Brooklyn and beyond to play and experience play. And in my years, I've been working on tools to support that happening. And I'm excited to tell you about some of those tools.
We're excited to hear them.
Well, first, I'll talk to you a little bit about how I use ritual and surprise to build play and community. So, in studying different schools and organizations, I noticed a couple of things. The first is that every school and community has rituals that they do. Those can be from things like circle time to birthdays, everything. So, those rituals create meaning and they open imagination. Well, the other part of it, so rituals keep us rooted. And the other part of it is surprise. The surprise element is not like a giant birthday surprise, it's anything that wakes up imagination or shifts our perspective. Um, so surprises keep us fresh, keep that imagination fresh. So when you have a mix of rituals which root us and surprises that keep us fresh, that's the dance of community. That's what I call the dance of community. Um, I can give you an example and then maybe you can ask some questions. So an example might be, you know how people do pop-ups? We do pop-ups too, but we do them to create play and to build community. And we often do them in service to social justice. So
Nice.
for example, for Black Lives Matter week, and we're a school that does Black Lives Matter, we believe that everybody should get to be themselves and everybody should get to play. So we might have a hot chocolate pop-up and give out patties and play together as a community. So from the littlest person to the biggest person, from the youngest person to the oldest person, we'll hand out hot chocolate and we'll hand out patties and we'll talk about what matters to us and we'll play together and we'll use that to build beloved community, to let everyone, children and grownups, let them know that they matter, they're included, and they're important in our community.
I have
Wendy.
a very silly question.
Uh-huh.
Seriously, what is a patty?
A patty is like a Jamaican patty or a Haitian patty. It can be filled with vegetable or meat or that kind of thing.
Oh,
So
so
we'll
you
give out
bring
patties,
food
we
and
bring
hot
food and
chocolate.
hot chocolate, or we've done pop-ups of flowers. We've done pop-ups where we, most of our pop-ups are about honoring and caring for each other. And so much of play is about how to learn to be human and to take care of each other and the world. So for example, at our school, we try to take really good care of our nannies and caregivers that we see. We really believe it's one of the most important jobs in the world. And so if we do Appreciation Day, we might have a flower pot. We give everyone flowers. And the children will play and give the flowers and run around and honor those caregivers with that pop-up with flowers. And all of our pop-ups include a surprise and a ritual, and they're all free, and they're all liberatory. Also, free and liberatory pop-ups reduce implicit bias. And that's really, really important. So when your children are outside, and we're in Brooklyn, we're in an urban environment, when we're outside, our children, they don't have implicit bias. They see the bus driver, they say, "Hey, bus driver, do you want a flower?" And that's the way we connect to the world and we build play. And that bus driver gets to be acknowledged and gets to remember play and be connected to it.
That is just beautiful. And so for people who may not be familiar with pop-ups, can you talk about, they go to a local park or they go to the playground in an urban environment and they're welcoming the trash collectors and they're waving to the police officers and they're welcoming to the individuals who are walking along the street, or give us a little bit of a description of what a pop-up, we know what you're doing with the ritual and surprise, which I love those terms, but the mechanics of it, I think. So
Sure, and I've written something, but I'll kind of go through it. And pop-ups can be anywhere, they can be everywhere, they can be as short or as long as you want. And so when I do a pop-up, first I get like an intention. It's almost like I feel like, wow, we've all been such superheroes right now. We need to figure that out. And so I get that intention, and then I'm like, well, what do superheroes have? And often I talk to children and I'm like, well, we're just really feeling like superheroes. And they're like, well, superheroes have capes. So I'm like, okay, let's get capes for everybody. And then I check in on impact to make sure that whatever I do will be impacted in a inviting way by the community. And I make sure that I'm invited, and that's okay. And then for like a superhero pop-up, we would look up how to make capes. Often you can make capes pretty cool online with an old t-shirt. And we'll just find a spot in the park, or if you're not it could be in a field, it could be in a parking lot, it could be at a school, it could be at a house of worship, it could be at a grocery store, it can be anywhere. I've done them everywhere. It can be on the subway. And then you just offer everybody, you say, hey, we're being superheroes today. Would you like a cape? And sometimes people are like, I don't know. Or they're like, I need to pay for it? And you're like, nope, you're a superhero. These are free for you. And we'd love for you to join in and play with us. And usually they do. And sometimes we ask superhero names, and, they take photos with their friends or their family. And often, if there's resistance and people don't want to do it, that's just an invitation. And invitations are just invitations. And then we have a great time being superheroes. And as we do that and we settle in, it opens our imagination to think about what a superhero is in our community but also whether it's a princess or a superhero or whatever we're being, it's access. Everyone can be a princess.
Mhm.
Everyone can be a superhero. Everyone gets to have hot chocolate. So it's about being inclusive and building beloved community, and inviting everybody to participate and play.
Oh, Lisa, I can't hear you. There
No,
you go.
the guys are gardening, so I was muting myself. Do you remember the first time you embraced that pop-up as a practice? Like, do you remember your first one?
You know, I think that it kind of organically grew. And I honestly really thank the children for doing it. I think most of our good ideas come from children, and it's us being present and listening to them. And then
Mhm.
as grown-ups, we get to be invited into play. And if we listen for those invitations, it just makes our world so much more joyful. So I think there was I mean, just thinking back, there was a day where I think we were blowing bubbles on the terrace of the school, and we just started inviting everyone to participate and pop bubbles and blow bubbles, and it just starts out that little from blowing bubbles. And then we've had marching bands. The pandemic has been a big time for pop-ups because we can be outdoors together playing. We've had DJs outside where we're all dancing. It's a really good time to give and receive to each other in a way that's safe and to create that community. So that's sort of how it started. um, but I'm a big fan of children's ideas and listening to them. One of the other things that I've been doing for a lot of years that I love so much is I run a board meeting with children most weeks. And I get their ideas, and that creates community. And also, I often will give the children's board meetings to my adult board. And they have amazing ideas. Some of them are magical, some of them are practical, but it really creates that community. So all of the play that I do is really connected to how do we make a more joyful, inclusive community together.
Wendy, it's so interesting. In the other Porch Play Chats that we've done today, the first one was about trusting children and honoring childhood, right? And then another one that we did was being respectful and understanding that and issues around gender identity and having open conversations with children, asking children questions. And then this one with the same sort of theme that you're honoring, listening, and valuing what children are saying to you and then incorporating it based on their interests into the pop-ups or into I love the board meeting idea. That is
So
hysterical.
fun.
Oh,
It's so fun.
I bet it is hysterical. I love that.
Miracle. And then I'll invite grown-ups too
Mm,
in.
mm.
So for example, I got to do a board meeting with the borough president of Brooklyn. Um, and the first question the child asked was to the borough president of Brooklyn was, can you raise your hands? So, he's like raising his hands and doing some exercises with them. And it was great because he could feel that. And then that gave them power. When adults play with children, children feel like they matter, and they feel important and they feel powerful. And that's so important.
I can see the I mean, I can see that whole board meeting with a special guest. Like if you brought a legislator in a board meeting with a legislator, would that not be the most powerful? Not only are they learning so much about children so that they hold
So is the
children in their
elected
mind.
official, right? So is
Yes,
the
it,
elected official.
it's a, it, and
It's
children are
an
able to ask them questions and feel power because
that
the elected officials work for us. But I think even more importantly is the elected official or whoever is in the board meeting is really understanding that children are not widgets. All of them are individuals. They all have views and feelings, and we need to listen to them and be respectful. Oh my goodness, I can just see the power of that in change.
The transformational
It's
possibility.
amazing. It's power and wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. We did this when we did it with the borough president. It was really because the kids were wondering about the pandemic, and nobody was speaking to children.
Mhm.
And so the children got to show their drawings of the virus. They got to do all sorts of things where they needed to have a voice to explain how they were feeling and how different the world had become for them. And in New York City, we were hit very hard in the very
Mhm.
beginning, and so it was a lot of like, how can we figure this out? And you all know, children, that's one of the ways children figure out the world. They draw, they play it, they talk to their siblings, they whoever they can connect to. And so it was so important both for the legislator to hear, but also for the children to get that voice. And we do believe that part of Play and Beloved Community is teaching children to have that voice. And they have impact through board meetings. I can remember one where children, when they get to be like about 4, they don't want to nap so much
Mhm.
anymore.
Right, right.
So I had a meeting and the children were upset about nap. And I said, okay, how long do you want nap to be? And they said 0 minutes. And I said, well, I can't do 0 minutes. And so I thought, and I said, well, how about 50 minutes? And they said, well, how about 49? And I said, okay, let's do it. So like there's like it's sweet and it's funny, but it's also impact. And they really
Mhm.
felt like our nap is 49 minutes, and we helped that happen because it
Mhm.
felt too long for us.
Well, and
Um,
I want to
yeah,
comment here on something that is amazingly important. Children, as we all know collectively, everybody here and everybody watching and
yeah.
listening, children aren't stupid. They know if the adult who is now setting up a meeting, if it's going to be something that ends up happening. You know what I'm saying? Like they can tell. Their meter of like BS acknowledgement is so
Amazing.
100% accurate.
Mhm.
So the children who you were having that meeting with, my sense from this very brief interaction with you is that they trusted that
Mhm.
this was going to be an authentic conversation with some kind of an outcome,
Mhm.
so they had a reason to be invested in it. So you're right in saying that, yeah, it might to an outsider look like, oh, how cute, but if to a deeper eye, an eye looking deeper, it's democracy, right?
Mhm.
It's agency. It's
Mhm.
realizing that I'm not just being treated like a little person, but that I
Mhm.
do have a voice and a say in this time. I'm spending however many hours here, and this woman is listening
Mhm.
to our desire. That's huge. That does not happen enough. So I'm
Yes.
tipping my not
Mhm.
wearing hat to you, because I can tell that you're authentic with it, and kids definitely pick up on that as well, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, and
I think it's
it's for the whole
amazing.
community. It impacts your whole community when leaders and teachers listen, then parents listen, I mean, it just impacts everyone. And children have more of a voice, which is really good. And we do set up our meetings with joy, but also with there's a sense of attention and intention. So
Sure.
Mhm.
everyone gets a clipboard. Everybody gets something to write with. We all really like shiny stickers. It just sort of developed as a ritual to kind of mark the specialness of the board meeting. And yeah, it's a time that is both like joyful and playful and a little silly, but really we've made some decisions that have impact. And last year I had a child who came in very seriously and wanted his cubby to be moved to a different area of the classroom because he felt like he couldn't focus on his things, and that was doable, so we did it.
Wow. Okay, so go
And I
ahead,
would
Lisa.
imagine that you would then see that ripple effect, right? It's just not how we treat each other during our meetings, but you would see evidence of that spilling over into their own peer interactions as well. I mean, it's reminding me of Summerhill when when the kids,
Mhm.
we've got stuff we need to talk about. So
It's
round
very
everybody.
much like that. And then
Mhm.
conversations about race and about gender and about ability and needing different things, those conversations are become really interwoven in beloved community and in play, you know. um I don't know, I was once, you know, they're just very good at identity and talking and taking care of each other. So play is about imagining how we want the world to be. That's what play is. We get to imagine in the present, and it's so exciting.
I want to go back to the beloved community piece because I can hear the authenticity of the beloved community within the classroom, right? Because you're respectful, you listen, you ask opinions, you negotiate. I want to know how the preschool itself is, because of your pop-ups, how the preschool itself is perceived within the community and has become such a rich part of the community. Do you find it easier to get people to come in because they are familiar with what you're doing and they see your children outside at the park or on the playground, and that you've reached out to the community to share the wonderfulness of these
Mom, I
So
want
beautiful
much,
to go to the
children?
flower school. Mom, I want to go to the flower school. I can hear
so
it.
much community. And I think in March, I'll give you one of my head teachers instead of me, because I really like to hear many voices. And so I'll give you Peggy. Peggy is an intern. She started as an intern when she was 15 years old at Maple Street. She's in her 30s now. She's one of our head teachers, an example of one of her, and that's a lot of the story. It's, I have matriarchs, I have interns, I have children who are there as grown-ups. It's a village. We are a village. Um, but one of the stories of curriculum that she did that's like a really around beloved community is the kids wanted to study windows, and we do emergent curriculum like many schools. So they were studying windows and what's translucent and what's transparent, and they looked at churches and they walked around the neighborhood. But then the kids, in the nature of community and beloved community and play, decided they wanted to start a window washing business. So they created a window washing business, and they called it Hey, We Can Do It Window Washing. And they went around the neighborhood, and I'm sure she can tell you even more. And they sang to each business, Can we do it? Can we do it? Can we wash your windows? And the business would look at them like, what? Who are
What?
these children? Um, and then usually they would say yes. And then they'd sing, We can do it. We can do it. We can wash your windows. And they watched bakery windows and bookstore windows. And I mean, that's play in community. That's what it is. That's beloved community. Um,
It's just beautiful.
and so it's a ritual and it's a surprise. And so lots of our curriculum feels like that. It's what I refer to as community emergent, because
Mhm,
emergent is based on a child, but community emergent is based on every every part of the community.
mhm,
Um, and again, that reduces implicit bias and invites everyone.
mhm. Oh my goodness. Absolutely beautiful. So,
And this is not just me. This is like when the owner is the community. So I want to say
yes.
that really important. You know, my children have been saying to me, my own children, like, you say you're not the owner. So it's very much in service to the collective. We are
Uh-huh.
a place where the collective is very much, we are community care. We are centered in community.
So Wendy, can you describe your program, like how many children are enrolled and how many classrooms you have and what the ages are, just so that people have some context?
Sure. So Maple Street, we have two locations. We're a cooperative school. One school is twos and threes, and it's licensed for 60 kids. We don't have 60 right now because we are doing social distancing and pandemic. The
Mhm.
other schools licensed for 51. One of our schools that's threes and fours and licensed for 51 actually rents from the subway. So we are maybe one of the only preschools in a train station. And the other one is above a bookstore. They're about 3 blocks away, which is really lovely because it feels like Sesame Street. I'm always
Mhm.
walking those 3 blocks and seeing alumni and families and business owners and friends and leaders. And so it's like very much we get to do this back and forth walk. We're right near Prospect Park. So we get to be in this big park all the time, especially during the pandemic. And we're urban, so we're near the subway and buses and all sorts of things like that. So that's our community. We usually have 9 classes. We have 6 right now. The classes are between 10 and 12 students, mostly 12 students right now. Normally they go up a little bit higher, but we're really trying to be an outdoor park-based school to try to keep us all safe and joyful.
And
Yeah.
did I read on your website, you're a full day co-op?
So we've always been a full day. We've been half day this fall, but we are going to full day again January 19th.
I was very, very impressed by that for
Yeah.
lots of reasons. But anytime I see a program that breaks that kind of lock and load that you can only be a half day co-op, I was very, very impressed by that.
So our co-op model is what I call a community organizing model. And the whole co-op is based on having families skills and interests and gifts, give the community their gifts, what it's that match between what they can give and what their interests are between what we need.
Sure.
And what our interests are. So we're matching those gifts. So it's not just like families do a mix of what I call infrastructure, like helping out with the physical plant, that kind of thing. Enrichment, so everything from musicians to beatboxers to parents who cook to, I had parents put in a toilet once. It was like the best thing I've ever seen in my life. The kids were like in love with it. So we do infrastructure, we do enrichment, and then we do vision, families who are doing like strategic planning and fundraising and that kind of thing. And so the co-op is bound in that way, not an hourly like exact commitment of a teacher, but really, what are your gifts? How can you give them to the community, and how can the community receive them and grow that way? And so that's how we're based.
I think the other beautiful thing, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
I can't wait till I can come and not be quarantined and come walk on the streets with you guys.
Yes.
Please come join us.
I think what is beautiful about the full day model too is it's not exclusive then, right? Because so many parents can choose a co-op because they have the time and they only need a part day program versus a full day programs because they're both working. And so I think
it was hard to not offer the full day for a while for working families. I think that being a co-op, one of the things when you're community based is you have to take an account to everyone in the community. And our teachers, we were not feeling safe to do that full day inside yet with our teachers. So it was, how do we balance what parents need with what teachers need? And we Maple Street had a tragedy about a year and a half ago. A child passed away. And honoring our warrior Sita, she's taught me everything in the world. Her 4 short years were amazing. But I think when that has happened to a school, in a community, it feels very different to be in a time when health and safety are at risk. And so to come to that with the reality of having had been through grief and the love of needing to be in joy together at the same time has made us have to sort of take each step very carefully right now.
Well, and I think that is certainly, I'm sure your teachers appreciate that, and I'm sure your families appreciate that. And that, what a horrible loss. That's awful.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was horrible, but also to really keep her a living memory and to really honor her life in creating community and in she had a sign, and her sign said Black Lives Matter and I love you. And so that sign is really profound to me in how I do my work and live my life. If you can hold both of those things at the same time, you can create beloved community. So she taught me that.
Oh, amazing. I'm going to cry. Because you don't ever want a child to die.
No, you don't. But I like to speak about her because I also feel like you want those families who've had that happen to feel like they're included and loved and their child's loved
Yes.
forever. So
Absolutely
it's
beautiful.
one of those unspeakable things that we want to still try to speak about. Um,
Sure.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and she really just, we just all, she's like our pink rainbow and our sunflower. We think about her all the time.
So I'll cry some more. You have to talk.
Well, I was going to comment that again, horrible tragedy, and again, small, short conversation of getting to know you. That the program you have set up probably made that smoother than it would have been in some other programs that I know we've all been involved with. That the connections were authentic and the relationships were rich and relevant and real and not just fake superficial posters on the wall. And I think probably that helped people deal with the tragedy.
Very, very much so. And to be together, she has a tree in Prospect Park, and I would say that tree is a center of community now. We
Mhm.
play there. We play hard there. Like it's where we play. It's important to us. Um, and you will see kids and soccer balls and flowers and necklaces and all sorts of things because play is forever, just like love is forever.
And her tree will be forever.
And her tree is forever. Yeah. So, and the community is forever. So it's all of that. I
I think it's
didn't,
beautiful.
yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
didn't,
keep crying, so just hang in
that's
there
it.
with me. So anyway, Wendy, I think the other beautiful piece is that it's not we grieve and move on, right? Instead, it's she has a place.
Her very much so. Very, very much so. Um, it's really about, I mean, and that's what inclusion is, right? Inclusion is like, and we've learned about this during the pandemic. It's including the old people and people who are disabled and people who have moved on and people who are essential workers and like the truth is the more including you do, the more access to play you have.
Well, and the more people who maybe have felt excluded have
Yeah,
access to
and
play,
then they
right?
make it richer. Yeah.
Yes, that I think is the most important piece. I wish, a as early childhood professionals, I think that's what we really need to be promoting, that play does build community and it decreases all this horrible fighting and stuff that we're currently engaged in, where it's, this side or versus this side, instead of listening to other people's perspectives and being able to honor if their beliefs are different than yours. And I think that's the big piece about it's not just my way that's the only right way. There are other ways, but this is the choice I make to do this one, to do it this way. But I think it's that piece about listening to other perspectives that we've lost as humans
Yeah, I mean, and
at
it
this
can be
point in time.
hard because I want to listen to other people, but I also want everybody to know that their humanity,
Uh-huh.
they're allowed to be here and belong.
Yes.
I'm a parent of two biological trans children, trans multiracial children, and then I house a lot of trans children too. So in my own personal life, inclusion and belonging is key to everything I do.
Mhm.
And so it's like a lot of times I'm on like groups or that or even social media, like how do I love you and include you and still hold you accountable to see my children as
Uh-huh.
full beautiful humans?
Mhm.
And to me, asking you to do that is a way to love you. It
Yeah.
is a way, right? To not let you be homophobic or racist.
Well,
That's inviting you to love.
and I think the other big piece is that it when we are able to be when we're able to have that kind of outreach where when people may have thought they were going to exclude a transgender population or exclude people because of differences, and we don't confront it with meanness, right? But we honor their viewpoints, but we want to also feel like our agency is being expressed as well in a respectful way. I think that that is a great example for other people who may be more closed-minded. And
Yeah, so always invitation and always firmness about humanity.
yes. Oh, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wendy, we really want you back. And we would
I would
love
love
to,
to be back, but I really think I should send Peggy or Anne-Marie
well,
or like I have this, you know, I'm a white
amazing
woman,
group.
I'm one of the directors, but I have this amazing, powerful, wonderful group of teachers that I'm so excited for you to meet and directors that
Mhm.
like, you know, the goal of a leader is that everybody is better than them and they've got it. They're like they will wow you. So
Well, that is
I love getting started, but again, I'm one of the people in the community, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Peggy and Jen and Cynthia, everyone. It's
well, we will be
I've got
so
a crew.
excited to honor them as well and to have them. But this has truly been an amazing porch play chat that I think is going to be really valuable um, to the IPA-USA folks and anyone else who has the opportunity to actually view this. So I'm going to just sort of wrap up our porch play chat, but I'd love you to stay on for just a few minutes after I stop the recording. So thanks again to Wendy. This has been amazing.
Such a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, so
And
much.
for more information on other porch play chats or to join IPA USA and to help us continue this work, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, thanks for listening and keep playing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Wendy, hang in.
Sure, no worries.